Now flip to odds. We're going to flip on the back. So odds and probability are similar but not the same, okay? The odds are, we say, what are the odds of something happening, right? Okay, we've heard that a lot. What are the odds that I will win, or what are the odds of this, okay? The odds are a little bit different in the fact that instead of looking at successes to totals, we compare successes and failures, okay? So you can take totals and successes to find your failures, because totals minus successes equal your failures. And what it is, it's a ratio that you then compare against each other, okay? Odds, okay, are going to be expressed in what we call a ratio. Okay, so when you have the word odds, you're looking at something, and then you have your colon to something, okay? That's how we look at odds. And
the word two?
yeah, like odds are 3 to 1. Yeah, like, yeah. So how this works is we have successes to failures, or we have failures to successes, depending on how it's worded, okay? So again, that's successes to failures, or failures to successes. Okay, depending on which way you're asking the question. Okay? So if you have a total and you're given a success and they say, what are the odds of this, then what you do is you find your failures by subtracting your successes from your totals. Okay? So this is where you want to realize that that total can equal successes plus failures, or failures can equal total minus successes. Okay? And you realize that depending on what you're getting, you can calculate one or the other. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Okay? Alright, so let's look at how this works. So we have, according to U.S. National Center for Health Statistics, the chances of males born in 1990 living to be at least 65 years of age is about 3 in 4. For females, the chances are 17 in 20. Okay? So what they're giving us here is they're giving us the successes, and they're giving us a total. Okay? So for males, I have a success of 3, and I have a total of 4. So it's basically saying if you have 4 guys sitting there, 3 of them are going to live to be at least 65, 1 of them will not. Okay? For females, our successes is going to be 17, and our total is going to be 20. Okay? Does everyone see how I'm getting that value? Okay? So therefore, if my successes is 3 and my total is 4, what's my failure? It's going to be 1, right? And here, what's my failure? 3. Okay? So it says, what are the odds that a male born in 1990 will die? Well, is die a success, or is it a failure? It's kind of not really a nice, good example. Anyway, it is a failure. It is not a very good example, but it is a failure before the age of 65. So what did we say our failure was in this one? 1. Okay? So if I'm asking for odds, I want it in a ratio. So I need something to something. It's asking me about failure, so I'm going to do the failure to successes way. Okay? So therefore, I would list this as 1, because that's my failure, to 3. What's that? Because that's a probability. Odds are successes and failures. Okay? So now, that's the difference between probability and odds that you have to distinguish. Probability deals with total. Odds deal with success and failures, like that. You can take success and failures, combine them for a total, and create a probability, right? And you can take a probability, subtract out the successes, and create a success and total odd. So you can go from one to the other, okay, depending on what you have. Okay, and we'll show this. We're going to demonstrate it, so you know. All right, what are the odds? Again, so when it says odds, you guys, And maybe the way to think of it is I have 2 D's here and I have 2 dots. So that tells me I'm going to a ratio, right there. I don't know if that helps or not, okay? Versus a percentage, which is probability. Probability percentage, PP, 2 dots, 2 D's, I don't know. Because I'm going to guarantee you, you're going to get on a test, it's going to ask you for odds, and it's going to list probability answers and odd answers, like the ratios, and you need to understand the difference. So if you can just do that distinguishment, you've saved yourself at least half the answers, right? Okay. So now I need the odds that they died before. So I'm looking for failures to successes here, aren't I? Okay. So what's my failure for females? 3. What are my successes? 17. Okay. So I have 3 to 17. Okay. So these are the odds. That's odds. So then I'm going to ask you, okay, so what's the probability? I want to know that in a percentage. What is that percentage-wise, right? So I want the probability of dying before 65. So probability, okay, equals successes over totals, right? So what's my well, in this case it's failure, because that's what we're saying is a success in this case. So what is it's going to be by top number. What's the probability that I die before I'm 65? What's my total? What's my top number? It's going to be 3, right? Well, I need my total. So what's my total? It's going to be 20. It's going to be 3 plus 17, right? Because this is my failure, and that's my success, and that equals total, right? So I can calculate that. So that's going to be 3 over 20. So if I plug that into a calculator, I get a what? 15% chance that I'm going to die before the age of 65. And since I'm getting close to that, it makes me sad. Okay, does that make sense? Yes. Yeah, it's small. It's success in this. It's probability is what we call success over total, and in this case, the death is success. So that's why it's just F over. Yeah, it's what it's asking for. Whatever it's asking for, that's their success. Right. Okay. Yes. Success of death. So this is like success of death.
Don't put the definition of the word.
Yes. Okay. So questions on. What's that? Yes. Okay. So what you want to take away from this, you guys, is as follows. You want to be able to go from probability to odds and odds to probability. And you need to be able to do that by understanding that probability deals with totals, and so you can add your success and failures to get your total. And if you have a probability, you can get your failures by subtracting your successes from your total. Okay? All right, and then we have one more thing, you guys, and you can do homework. And this is looking at data. So you're going to get a graph similar to something like this, and you need to figure out the answers. Okay? So the graph has all these outcomes, and it wants to know what is the probability of the following outcomes. So it says the graph determines the outcomes are least likely. So what's the least likely outcome of so this is rolling the dice, and when you roll 2 dice, or 2 die, you add them up, and it's saying these are the totals you could get. Okay, so if I roll 2, what are the chances of me getting 2? Well, it's 1 in 36. What are the chances of me getting 3? It's 1 in 18, okay? So it wants to know what the least likely outcome is. Well, what's the smallest fraction down here? What's the smallest fraction?
1 out of 36.
Yeah, so 1 out of 36. So the sum of 2 and the sum of 12. And this is a 1 in 36 chance, and this is a 1 in 36 here. Okay? Right here. So this is the sum of the dice up here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When I roll the dice, these are possible answers or totals I get. This is the probability of rolling those. So it wants to know what outcomes are the least likely. So this is the smallest fraction, that's the smallest fraction. Okay? And so what we're trying to get from this is being able to read data and give an answer. Okay? So using the table, what's the probability of finding the sum of 11? Okay? So what other sum has the same probability? So where's the 11? There's 11 right there. What's the probability of getting an 11? 1 out of 18. Is there any other number that has the same probability? 3. Okay, just by looking at the data. Okay? Alright, and then I asked, what are the odds of rolling the sum of 5? Alright, so I'm going to look at 5. Okay? The sum of 5, the probability is what? Equals 1 over 9. What does the 1 represent in the probability? Success, right? What does the 9 represent in the probability? The total. Okay? If I need to find odds, I have to find successes to failures, correct? So how do I go? So we know success, right? There's that there, success. So I can do that. I can just do 1 right there. But how about failures? How do I find failures? Right, I'm going to do 9 minus 1. So then my odd is 1 to 8. So 1 in 8 chance, or odds, in rolling a sum of 5. Okay? So you should be able to go from backwards and forwards. Go from probability to odds and odds to probability. Okay? It's like a vicious circle. Does that make sense? Okay, so you guys have learned about probability, which is dealing with the successes over the totals, and then you've learned the odds, which is success to failures, okay, and being able to go back and forth. Does that make sense? Alright, you guys have 10 minutes. In that 10 minutes, you should have to do A58, which is right here. Okay, A58, and it's all the problems that are circled. So realize if it's saying odds versus probability what you're doing, okay?